So I haven't made a video in a while, not because of lack of want or time, or just I think my first 100 days of amends was kind of very thought out, and then the second one, the pet peeves and things like that, was semi thought out, and this was more of a, I guess, autobiographical thing where I'm just trying to find memories that might serve a, I don't know, a purpose, a story, a parable, hopefully. Um, so today's parable is, is the memory of others. How others remember you, how you remember others, how I remember other people. So I left Israel when I was very young, not that young, 7.5, 8 years old. I knew a bunch of kids in my grade, this and that. They gave me a thing. Each page was made by one of the kids in the class, saying, "Hey, don't forget us," blah blah, this kind of thing. And that book was misplaced, lost, who knows what. Uh, Around seventh or eighth grade, for whatever the reason was, I was reconnected with that class. I think my mother and one of her friends were in Israel, and for whatever reason, I was brought in. And in Israel, whatever class you're in, you move through the line. It's just pretty much the same class throughout, so it's easy to track that down. And everybody remembered me. Like, not every, I mean, it felt like everybody, or at least a substantial amount of people, and I remembered not a one. I remember, I remember how horrible I felt for not remembering anything. I didn't feel athletic compared to them. I didn't feel good at that. I was trying to sit in on the math. Didn't feel good. They were excited. They were like, tapping me on the shoulder, and I just didn't know what to do with it. I was so, you know, fucked up from like American society, and then I'm going back there, and I couldn't resolve it. And they all remembered me, or at least every one of them. I mean, I went to recess. We did some kind of like long jump thing, and it was only 3, 4 years later, right? 4 or 5 years later, 4 years later, 4 years later. And they all remembered me, or most of them did. And I didn't. I remember feeling horrible for not remembering their names, not remembering any, I mean, barely the faces, faking it. And, it gets me to think about, there's so many people that, everybody runs into throughout their lives. Some people are impressionable, and I'll remember them for the rest of my life from third, fourth grade. And other people, maybe I'm the same for other people, and I have no idea who they are. Unfortunate. Those people can really provide some kind of thing for me. Oh, you said this, or I remember having this experience. I love stuff like that. I love it when somebody says, oh, I'll never forget this, and it's like 15, 20 years later. I have no idea of the memory. But I don't. I can't imagine why I didn't remember any of them. It kind of sucked. Um, to what extent does it offer, respect to people who, clearly they just were enthusiastic? And I know what people say. Oh, it's easier for the many to remember a one person versus the one to remember the many. But not one of them did I remember. I remember there was supposed to, like, some girl that was brought in, and like, oh, do I remember? I don't know. We maybe, like, one of those, like, first kiss in third grade kind of girls, kind of thing. And I remember feeling shitty about it. And to what extent was I? And I don't know. Maybe it was a shutdown. Maybe it was a fading memories. Maybe it was the fact that, like, it's harder for one person to remember many versus the other way around. I was the kid that left versus me, the kid that left, remembering all the details that was left behind. I don't know if that's easier. I don't know if people who move around from city to city kind of feel that way. Maybe everybody turns out different. You remember the people that you remember, and maybe those people remember you, and maybe it's mutual. I don't know. But you never know who's going to remember you. And, I wish I could find people that I remember and say, I remember you. It was that influential. It was that impactful on me to remember you. Maybe somebody says that about me, and it's amazing when it's mutual, right? Hopefully those are the people that I still am friends with to this day. It was just very eye-opening and alarming to the fact that here I am trying to negotiate one culture, and then I go back to the one that I was born in, and that was, I think, when I knew that I had inadvertently rejected it. Probably when I started beating the hell out of the accent when speaking English. Probably when I started beating the hell out of a lot of cultural things. Maybe mistakenly, but nonetheless, that's what it was. So just be cautious in who what impressions you leave. I guess I should be cautious about the impressions that I leave. I'm sure people are out there going, I remember that guy. Fuck that guy. Or maybe something else. Or like, hey, there's that guy. I wish it could be mapped out. I wish I had access to some of those people and just, what do you remember? Give me something, because I remember so little. And yet, the things that I do remember are perhaps unnecessarily for so long. So, thank you for listening.